Hi, this video will demonstrate how to combine functions. Now we're looking at a product or multiplying functions. Our general definition is that f times g of x is equal to f of x times g of x. You have to be given an f of x and a g of x. For this particular video, we're going to look at two different situations. First of all, if you're asked to just calculate f times g of x. Alright, so in part A, if you're asked to calculate f g of x, we're just going to use the definition and see that that is equal to f of x times g of x. Okay? And now I can just do a basic substitution. And for f of x, I can just fill in what f of x is equal to, or 4x cubed minus 8x squared. So I'm going to get 4x cubed minus 8x squared. All right. And now I am multiplying, so I want to make sure that I multiply that times g of x. All right. So in for g of x, okay, I've got a times here, I'm going to put in my g of x function, or in this case 4x squared. All right. And now, just like always when I multiply, I have to distribute this. This becomes 16, because 4 times 4 is 16. X cubed times x squared gives me x to the 5th, right, as my first term. I've got minus 8x squared times 4x squared, so that's going to give me a minus 32, because minus 8 times 4 is a minus 32. And x squared times x squared gives me x to the 4th. Once again, if the original problem is given to me in terms of x, I will probably have an x in my answer, and I'll just leave it like that. I don't know what to plug in for x, so this is my final answer here. In part B, though, they ask us to actually plug in a value. So they ask us f g of -1. All right. And so in place of defining this f of x times g of x, I can define this as f of -1 times g of -1. And what that means is I'm going to go to my f function. Wherever I have an x, I'm going to plug in a -1. So this will become 4 minus 1 cubed minus 8 times minus 1 squared. This first term becomes a minus 4, because minus 1 cubed gives me a minus 1, times 4 is minus 4. And this next term, minus 1 squared, becomes a positive 1 times a minus 8. So this actually becomes minus 4 times minus 8, or minus 4 minus 8, or a minus 12. Okay. And now I'm going to multiply that by g of -1. So I'm going to go to my g function, wherever an x, I'm going to plug in a minus 1. So I get a 4 times minus 1 squared. My minus 1 squared has become a positive 1, so this just becomes 4. So I get minus 12 times 4, or that is equal to a minus 48. Alternatively, I could have gone to f g of x and plugged in a -1 here in the final function. I've already calculated f g of x and ended up with this. So if I go to this function now and plug in a -1 for x, I should get the same answer. So I'm going to get 16 times minus 1 to the 5th. Minus 1 to the 5th is just going to give me a minus 1 times 16 is going to give me a minus 16. My second term is going to be minus 32 times a minus 1 to the 4th. Minus 1 to the 4th gives me a positive 1 times a negative 32 gives me a minus 32. So this answer would have given me minus 16 minus 32, which is a minus 48. Again, I end up with the same answer, just two different methods to end up at the same spot. The easiest method is probably going to be this one, where I just go back to my original functions and plug in whatever value I'm asked. So that is how we find the product of two functions.